I do want to talk about some comments that your colleagues across the aisle have made. Like you said, more lawmakers in the middle are supporting this. This is what some Republicans have said. Representative Ralph Norman said the compromise was insanity, and he's vowed to quote that he wasn't going to quote vote to bankrupt our country. And your colleague across the aisle, Trip Roy, did call this legislation a turd sandwich. His words, not mine. What's your message to Republicans who don't support this legislation?
Well, to be honest, I'm shocked at some of the rhetoric from the far right-wing radical Republicans who would willingly and seemingly intentionally threaten our economic collapse. And I hope that the business community that has historically supported Republicans will have second thoughts, knowing that the number of small businesses that would close across this country, the number of people that might lose their homes because of increased interest rates, millions of people potentially losing their jobs. Personally, I'm shocked, and it's un-American.
You're saying millions of people could lose their jobs. Just in this conversation, the words catastrophic, rattle the market, and economic collapse have come up. And President Biden just this week said there's no reason why it shouldn't get done by the 5th. As we know, the 5th is that X date that Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen gave before the U.S. defaults on its financial obligations. Do you agree? Do you think a legislation will get passed by June 5th?
I do. I think the House will pass it today. It will go to the Senate tomorrow morning, Thursday. I think if all goes very smoothly, they could pass it by Friday and then head home for the weekend. I think that would be a good sign for the markets. Much less turmoil, much less concern. Let's put it behind us and resolve this entire crisis.
I know that if it doesn't get passed, there is a dire financial crisis that we could really deal with. So is defaulting on our debt, would you say, completely off the table?
It is for me, absolutely.
And can you lay it out for us point blank? How important is it for us to pass this by June 5th?
Crucial.
Can you elaborate a little bit there?
Well, I think you've mentioned it. The economists that we've spoken to, millions of Americans could lose their jobs. I've mentioned interest rates would definitely be impacted. And that, for my constituency, that's everything from their credit cards, their school loans, their auto loans, their mortgage. Everything about our lives would be impacted, and I think it would have a catastrophic impact.
You represent New Hampshire's 2nd congressional district. What has their response been here? You've mentioned that this almost seems like games are being played with politics. Do they feel that too?
Absolutely. This is a manufactured crisis. There's no reason why the far right-wing Republicans are putting us through this crisis. Keep in mind that the Congress raised the debt ceiling without incident 3 times when President Donald Trump was in office.
Do you think that President Biden waited too long to come to the negotiating table? The first time he met with Kevin McCarthy was earlier this month in May 9th. Do you think that's too late? Because a deal was officially brokered just a week out from that X date.
No, I think we were waiting to hear from Speaker McCarthy and the Republicans on their response to the president's budget. My understanding is that took the Republicans a long time to respond to that, but we weren't in a position to negotiate against our own offers. So I think the negotiation happened in a timely way. It took a week and a half. That's really quite remarkable given the scope of the issues that were involved. And I think we're in a good position now to move forward, put this issue behind us, and let's get back to the business of governing.
Do you think that this is potentially, obviously no one wants to see a financial crisis, but is this a sign that this partisan government can come together and compromise when push comes to shove?
Absolutely. And I hope that that's the takeaway, that people will have an understanding let's not be engaged in these politics over people and threatening our lives and threatening our economy. Let's be engaged in the business of governing across party lines from the middle out. Moderate Democrats with moderate Republicans getting the job done, a mature approach, a pragmatic approach. I think the American people deserve that.
Congresswoman, I know how busy you must be, so I really appreciate you coming on today and taking the time. Congresswoman Annie Kuster, thank you for joining me.